We have a workshop space. I never thought I'd make a video of me standing in a room for 10 minutes, but here we are. It's been a long time coming, but we finally have a workshop space to do stuff in. Objectively, it's kind of weird to get excited about an empty room, but if you're a car person, you know exactly where I'm coming from. Look, if I just want to put something where I want to put it, I can put it there. And nobody has any objection. Let's back the story up a bit first. My first car when I was 18 was an RX-7, and that being a rotary, of course it had a loud exhaust, which means coming home late at night or leaving early in the morning wasn't really the best thing for good neighbor relations. I lived in a block of apartments with my parents, and I had a garage just below someone's window. So as a result, I got very good at accelerating down the street, cutting the ignition, and then just rolling the car up in front of the garage, after which I could just push it in because the car wasn't really that heavy. Then when I moved to Japan in 2008, same thing again. I had a very small car space out back of the house I lived in. When I'd back in, the exhaust was right next to the next door neighbor's window. To park there quietly, I'd drive up the hill a little bit, roll backwards, kill the ignition, and just squeeze the car into the spot with about that much space on each side. And I'd only get one go at it. It got to the point where I was coming back at 4 or 5 in the morning on a weekend from the mountains, and just to avoid irritating the neighbors, I'd park at some tourist parking area and just sleep in the car until the sun came up so I wouldn't annoy anyone by going home. I'd also have to work on my car in the same spot, and I'd be using, hammers and power tools and all that sort of thing. And sometimes I'd have to park the car in a different place to work on something else and like close the door for a car to drive past, and it's not ideal. I remember there was this place near the river that was sort of under a tree, and you could kind of park there without anyone getting annoyed at you, but everyone who'd be walking past would be kind of looking at you like, oh, what are you doing working on your car here? It's not fun. And that wasn't even in Tokyo, that was out in the suburbs in Saitama, and I live in Tokyo now, which is even worse than that. I do have a sort of a garage thing where I live in Tokyo right now, and it's all right, but it's kind of been taken over by other things, and it's just not easy to work on the car there. Remember when I went ice lake drifting? Well, I found out the night before that I couldn't have a sports exhaust. It had to be essentially a stock exhaust. It had to be dead quiet. So here's me at like 2 or 3 in the morning with the car up on jack stands trying to change an entire exhaust system. And you know what it's like when you're changing an exhaust, right? You're using stuff like this, right? And at some point you're gonna drop it. But there's no one complaining about it here. Also, do you know what the loudest sound in the world is? Like a jet taking off or a rocket? No, it's a floor jack on concrete. Anybody have a problem? No? This is so good. Just needed to get that out of my system. So as I started to buy more cars like the Beer Can R32 and the Beans A86, I didn't have anywhere to put them. The R32 always lived at Ebisu Circuit. I have my own little car space there that it parks in. And the Beans currently is being stored at Tsukuruma Circuit at Morita-san's shop. The good side of that is I can just get in my van, drive to the circuit, drive the car, and then go home. Of course, the downside of that is I can't work on the car easily. There were many times with the Beer Can R32 where I'd actually go to Ebisu Circuit, work all day or maybe 2 days on the car, come back home without even driving, which is not fun. The same with the Beans 86. It's sitting there, I could get Morita to work on it, but there's just so many things that I could do by myself that I wouldn't have to rely on somebody else to do. Like all the small things that just take up the maximum amount of time, and you can't always get them done in one day. Like that's the worst thing, is having to pull out the car, put it somewhere, work on it, and then put it away at the end of the day. You can't just leave it there, come back the next day or the next couple of days or a week later and work on it because it's going to be in the way. I just realized this might sound kind of weird to people who live overseas and have lots of space where they are. Like, let's put it this way. In Japan, there's no on-street parking. Like, you know, if you work on your car in the driveway and you have to leave it there overnight and someone comes home and they have, okay, I'll just park in the street. You can't do that here. What makes it even worse is that car spaces in Tokyo are generally so narrow that even opening your door means you are in someone else's space. So doing things like changing snow tires to regular tires, like when winter finishes, like I have to do on my van, is a huge pain in the ass. I've worked on my cars in like up the back of multi-level car parks where security can't see, highway rest areas, and even then people come over, like the security people come over and say, oh, do you have a problem with your car? Do we need to call you a tow? It's like, no, just leave me alone. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. So you might be thinking, well, why didn't you just get a space before? Again, it's not that easy. This might be a surprise to those who don't know, but I'm actually married with kids. And for those of you watching who are married with kids, you'll know they take up a lot of time and money. Honestly, what's a real shame is I didn't videotape the first 5 or so years I was in Japan because I reckon the content would have been better back then than it is now, unfortunately. There were definitely a lot more adventures going on back then, but then I got serious and had to sort of take it a bit easier. So for that reason, I never really fully committed to Noriero as like a main thing. I had some other things going on that just sort of kept it all going smooth. Didn't want to commit to anything too big. But things have changed recently. Compared to back then, making car content on YouTube these days is, I don't want to say easy because it's not, but a lot of the barriers are out of the way. Cameras, computers, internet, all that sort of stuff is not a barrier anymore. Like you could make a full 4K vlog on your phone. And of course, the other big difference is 95% of people in this world who have internet access watch YouTube. As a result, right now is the easiest time in history to monetize content. So the original plan for last year was the Mark II was going to be complete. I was going to take that to lots of events, competitions, all sorts of things. And then you all know what happened. I'd already decided that I wanted to take this to the next level, but just that was a real thing that happened. And with the help of some good friends, we looked around, we found this place, so here we are. It's kind of old, and I'm pretty sure the amount of asbestos involved in its construction is greater than 0. We could fit maybe about 9 cars in here with the doors open. It's in a pretty quiet area, as you can hear. There's not much else going on. At the same time though, I can make noise and no one cares. It has a nice, flat, level concrete floor. It has LED lights. It doesn't have it hooked up right now, but it does have 3-phase power, which means welders, tire changes, etc. It has lots of wall space to hang these banners that everyone hangs up. See? It has lots of natural light, but the sun's going down now. But of course, the best thing about this space is it's 100% mine to use for whatever I want. I can bring all my cars here, all my stuff here, 24 hours a day, whenever I want, weekdays, weekends, work on the cars, make content to make Noriero even better. Yes! It just makes such a huge difference. I'm free. Well, actually, what I should do is, I'll show you. There you go, there's the van for scale. I should get some of those, what are they called? Quick jacks. I appreciate you all being patient with the videos. I know I haven't put out a whole lot recently, but I have been filming a lot of stuff. We have a whole lot of stuff backed up, ready to go. Just had to get this done and finished. Now remember I always say at the end of the videos, if you'd like to see the content pushed forward, further and even better, join the Patreon. You're looking at it right now. This place is almost 100% thanks to all of the patrons over on patreon.com. And if you'd like to be like them, including these people here, these are my tier 3 patrons, team managers. Here's the link down below, patreon.com/Noriero. You get to see the videos a day before everybody else and also help this sort of stuff happen. So really looking forward to how the content is going to go from now on. Thank you so much. Of course, bonus content over on Noriero 2. If you see the logo, the red logo is the bonus channel. And it's all the stuff that maybe you guys want to see, but the content is not what the algorithm likes to see. So that's all over there too. So check that out. Also patreon.com. And as always, looking forward to see how it's going to go from here on. Thanks for watching. See you next time. I have to say this because someone will probably ask, no, I can't do a shed skid. I'm sorry. I'd like to, but no.